Welcome to Matt and Friends Drink the Universe.
Hello, listeners. This is Matt, the unilaterally elected president of this podcast.
That's not how this works.
Thanks, wife. I'd like to invite you to sit back, relax, grab a drink, and join us in celebrating the 250th birthday of the United States of America.
Hello. What's going on here then? Looks like somebody's got a celebration. I'm going to start talking in my own voice now. I'm not Michael Caine, or a very bad impression of Michael Caine. And I am Gemma from the Talking Codswallop podcast, wishing you a very happy 250 years of being free from my country. Yeah, you colonial bastards.
Thank you, Gemma from Talking Codswallop, yet another country heard from. To get this party started, we're going to release a series of episodes called Red, White, and Booze that celebrate the brands that help build this great nation. Now get ready for the second episode in our Red, White, and Booze series, Budweiser.
As part of our series examining iconic American drinks in advance of the United States' 250th anniversary, today we're turning to one of the most recognizable beers ever produced, Budweiser. For nearly 150 years, Budweiser has occupied a unique place in American life. It has been sold in neighborhood taverns, factory towns, baseball stadiums, military bases, suburban backyards, and roadside bars across the country. More than perhaps any other beer, Budweiser became intertwined with the rise of modern American industry. The story begins not in America, but in Central Europe. The name Budweiser originates from the city of Česká Budějovice in what is now the Czech Republic. In German, the city was known as Budweis, and beer produced there was commonly referred to as Budweiser, meaning from Budweis. During the 19th century, Bohemian lagers were widely respected for their clarity, consistency, and drinkability. One of the people inspired by these beers was Adolphus Busch, a German immigrant who arrived in the United States during a period of enormous demographic and industrial change. Busch entered the brewing industry through family and business connections in St. Louis, Missouri. He eventually married Lily Anheuser, the daughter of brewer Eberhard Anheuser, whose brewery had evolved from a struggling soap and candle business into a growing brewing operation. The partnership between Busch and Anheuser proved transformative. Eberhard Anheuser brought ownership and business experience, while Adolphus Busch contributed aggressive marketing strategies, technological ambition, and a broader vision for national expansion. Together, they built what would become Anheuser-Busch, one of the most influential brewing companies in American history. In 1876, the same year as the American Centennial, Busch introduced Budweiser Lager to the United States market. That timing would prove symbolic. As America entered the late 19th century, the nation was rapidly industrializing. Railroads expanded across the continent, cities grew at extraordinary rates, and national distribution networks began replacing regional economies. Budweiser emerged at precisely the moment when America itself was becoming more interconnected. At the time, most American beer was local. Breweries generally distributed within a relatively short distance because beer spoiled easily, especially during warmer months. Refrigeration was limited, transportation was inconsistent, and maintaining product quality over long distances was extremely difficult. Adolphus Busch recognized that solving these problems could transform brewing from a local business into a national industry. To accomplish this, Anheuser-Busch invested heavily in refrigerated rail transportation. The company became one of the pioneers of refrigerated rail cars in the United States, sometimes called ice cars. These rail cars used insulated compartments packed with natural ice to keep beer cold during shipment across long distances. This innovation changed American brewing permanently. For the first time, a beer produced in St. Louis could be transported across the country while maintaining relatively stable temperatures and consistent flavor. Budweiser could now compete in markets thousands of miles away from the brewery itself. The company also aggressively adopted pasteurization technology. Pasteurization involved heating beer to eliminate microorganisms that could spoil the product. While common today, this was revolutionary for 19th century brewing. Pasteurization dramatically increased shelf life and made national distribution practical. Without it, long-distance beer shipping would have remained unreliable and inconsistent. Anheuser-Busch also invested in artificial refrigeration systems at a time when many breweries still relied on natural ice harvested during winter months. This transition to mechanical refrigeration was enormously important. Artificial refrigeration allowed year-round brewing, greater consistency, improved storage conditions, and expansion into warmer regions of the country where traditional lager brewing had been difficult. In many ways, breweries like Anheuser-Busch helped accelerate the development of modern commercial refrigeration in the United States. The impact extended well beyond beer. Technologies associated with cold storage, refrigerated transportation, and large-scale preservation would later influence the national distribution of meat, dairy products, produce, and other foods. Budweiser was not simply participating in industrialization, it was helping shape the infrastructure of modern American commerce. The beer itself reflected changing American tastes. Budweiser was modeled after pale Bohemian lagers, but adapted for the American market. The recipe relied on malted barley along with rice, an ingredient that helped create a lighter body and cleaner finish than many traditional European beers. Although rice is sometimes misunderstood as simply a low-cost filler, it serves an important technical purpose in brewing. Rice contributes fermentable sugars while reducing proteins and heavier flavor compounds, resulting in a beer with greater clarity, lighter texture, and high drinkability. This style would eventually come to define what historians and beer scholars refer to as the American adjunct lager. Another defining feature of Budweiser production is the use of beechwood during aging. Despite widespread assumptions, the beer is not aged in wooden barrels. Instead, sterilized beechwood chips are placed inside maturation tanks. The wood contributes very little flavor. Its primary purpose is to increase surface area for yeast during conditioning, allowing the yeast to settle more efficiently and continue refining the beer before packaging. By the early 20th century, Anheuser-Busch had become one of the largest brewing companies in the United States. Then came Prohibition. The temperance movement had begun gaining political momentum for decades, arguing that alcohol contributed to poverty, violence, and social instability. In 1920, the 18th Amendment and the Volstead Act effectively banned the production and sale of alcoholic beverages nationwide. For breweries, the consequences were catastrophic. Many companies closed permanently. Others lost equipment, workers, and distribution systems they could never fully recover. Anheuser-Busch survived largely through diversification. During Prohibition, the company produced non-alcoholic beverages, malt syrup, yeast products, soft drinks, commercial ice cream, and a non-alcoholic beer known as Bevo. This adaptability allowed the company to preserve much of its infrastructure while other competitors disappeared. When Prohibition ended in 1933, Budweiser returned to the market almost immediately. One of the company's most famous symbols also appeared during this period, the Budweiser Clydesdales. The horse team was introduced to celebrate the repeal of Prohibition and quickly became one of the most recognizable advertising icons in American business history. Over time, the Clydesdales came to symbolize not simply a beer company, but a broader sense of nostalgia, tradition, and Americana. The decades following World War II marked another major turning point. American consumer culture expanded dramatically during the post-war era. Television advertising grew increasingly influential. Suburbanization accelerated, and large national corporations became dominant features of everyday life. Budweiser adapted perfectly to this environment. The company invested heavily in sports sponsorships, television marketing, and nationwide advertising campaigns. Baseball, football, auto racing, and major entertainment events became deeply associated with the brand. Budweiser was no longer merely a beer, it had become a cultural institution. The company also expanded into tourism and entertainment. In the mid-20th century, Anheuser-Busch developed Busch Gardens, originally created as a hospitality center adjacent to brewery operations. Over time, these attractions evolved into major theme parks combining entertainment, landscaped gardens, animal exhibits, and corporate branding. The parks reflected a broader trend in post-war America, in which corporations increasingly connected themselves to leisure, tourism, and family entertainment. Busch Gardens became another example of how Anheuser-Busch extended its influence beyond brewing into American popular culture itself. By the late 20th century, Anheuser-Busch had become one of the largest brewing operations in the world. Today, Budweiser is sold globally and remains one of the most recognized American beer brands ever created. Millions of barrels are brewed annually, and the company operates on a scale that would have been unimaginable to 19th century brewers. At the same time, Budweiser's role in American culture has evolved. The rise of craft brewing in recent decades challenged the dominance of mass-market lagers and encouraged consumers to explore more localized and experimental styles of beer. Yet Budweiser remains historically significant because it helped establish many of the systems that define modern beverage production and distribution. National advertising campaigns, refrigerated transportation, artificial refrigeration, pasteurization, large-scale consistency, industrial brewing methods, and global brand recognition all owe something to the model pioneered by Anheuser Busch. And there are still a few remarkable details surrounding the brand. Budweiser was introduced in 1876, making it nearly as old as the modern industrial United States itself. The company produces enormous quantities of beer annually, with global sales often exceeding 100 million bottles per year. And despite more than a century of recognition, one of the most famous slogans in American advertising history, "The King of Beers," remains among the most recognizable phrases ever attached to a beverage. As America celebrates its 250th anniversary, Budweiser offers a powerful lens through which to examine the rise of modern America itself.
This podcast is a production of Unfiltered Studios. If you would like to know more about joining Unfiltered Studios, please visit our website at unfpod.com for more information.
Would you like to take a boozy trip across the country, the planet, or the universe? Call our sponsor, the Poppins Travel Company, at 407-494-4070. That's 407-494-4070. Would you like to suggest something for us to drink, give us some feedback, or have your brand featured on Matt and Friends Drink the Universe? We would love to hear from all of our listeners. Please check our episode descriptions down below for links to send us a text, support the podcast, and visit our merch store. To keep up with our latest news or share your stellar sips with us, please like and follow Matt and Friends DTU on Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, Threads, Blue Sky, and Reddit. For more information about the podcast and links to all of our episodes, please visit www.mattandfriendsdtu.com. That's mattandfriendsdtu.com. Cheers, friends.